Welcome. Well, you are at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family. And we're delighted that you have welcomed us into your home. We want to hear from you, so send us an email with a question or a comment to jimandjoy@ewtn.com. Well, today I'm excited about our guest. Her name is Sheila St. John. She is the Executive Director of the California Association of Natural Family Planning. The website is canfp.org. And we're delighted to have Sheila with us today. It's going to be a great show. We'll have her with us today and then also on our Friday show.
I did want to mention there's another website there too, Joy. It's celebratehv50.com. Celebratehv50.com. Sheila and her organization were involved in pulling together perhaps the largest conference regarding the celebration of Humanae Vitae. Absolutely incredible speakers that were there. Go to the website, learn more, and it's a great resource. But we wanted to share thinking about Sheila's incredible work in natural family planning and Humanae Vitae, the anniversary, and all that she's done with that. We were watching EWTN.
Always.
And they've had on some incredible, I guess you call them docudramas or whatever, on John Paul II, St. John Paul II, Pope Paul VI, now Saint. And in the docudrama on Pope Paul VI, Saint Pope Paul VI now, of course his document, Humanae Vitae, this incredible encyclical on, I would say, marriage and family and life, the transmission of human life. It was such a controversial, document, and leading up to it, there was this whole group that got together to make some decisions that they thought regarding contraception. And so finally, the Pope is saying, well, I'm going to go ahead with this encyclical, and he gets a visit in this docudrama from a cardinal who comes in and says to him, Holy Father, please don't release this encyclical, please, not at this time. Not in this modern time, not with all that women are going through and advancement of things with women's, rights or whatever it is.
And like the world is waiting. Don't send it.
Don't do this. And the Holy Father just listened to him. And the Cardinal had said something about this document on sex. And Paul VI said, I didn't write an encyclical on sex. He said, I wrote a encyclical, and it's in Italian, and you got the English underneath it, but the only word I could understand was amore. And he said, I wrote on the love between a man and a woman, amore, between man and woman, and the transmission of human life.
Yes.
I didn't write on sex.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just so powerful for me, for Humanae Vitae. This is a document, not about sex. It's about human beings, about a man and a woman, about the covenant of love, about a human being conceived between a man and a woman. How should that take place? Mm-hmm. What's the context of that? What's the best thing to do? Are these just products of conception? I talked about love. So always know, as you think about Humanae Vitae, natural family planning, what that document is about, it's a call for a man and a woman to truly love, in true godly love, and the sanctity of the human person that may be conceived through that love should be done in the covenant, in the bond of marriage. It is possible. And then how these human beings are conceived and come into the world.
Right. Well, it's such a different worldview, isn't it? And that's why we need the church, we need EWTN to constantly be discipling us in truth as we go.
So let's repent. Let's go the way of the teaching of the church, and where we've transgressed already, let us know God's mercy, grace, and forgiveness, and we could still be mouthpieces of Humanae Vitae. We'll be right back. Plenty more to come. Please don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, in just a week and a half away, what is happening on November 3rd, you ask? It's the EWTN Family Celebration. This year, it's in Jacksonville, Florida. So make your plans to attend. It's going to be a great time for everyone, and we will be there.
Joy and I will be there. And also November 2nd, the evening before, is the Media Missionary Gathering. If you're an Ewtn Media Missionary, you know what I'm talking about. And so I'd like to see you there Friday evening. I think it's 6 p.m. at the same venue. If you don't know what the Media Missionary is about, just go to ewtn.com. There's a little tab there that says Media Missionaries. Click it, join it, and then join us the night before.
It will be wonderful.
Yep.
Well, today I bring to you Sheila St. John. She is the executive director of the California Association of Natural Family Planning. You can go to the website, canfp.org. Also, there's a great website called CelebrateHV50.com, and Sheila's going to tell us all about that also. Well, Sheila, we want to welcome you to At Home with Jim and Joy all the way from California, and we're delighted to have you with us today.
Thank you.
Now, tell our family a little bit about Sheila and how you got involved with this California Association of Natural Family Planning.
Well, I think like most people, you see a need and you look around and see, if not me, who, and so you jump in because you want to fill a need. So we saw a need in California to have a more cohesive effort to promote natural family planning. Many say they have never really heard of it, they don't understand it, there's a lot of ignorance and misinformation about it. And I know I myself, when I was seeking it out, had a very difficult time finding any assistance in it. And that was so long ago, it was before the internet. I actually went to the library and looked in a card catalog to find, and I found one book. So there was definitely a need for more information and advocacy and availability. So a group of us, and the person with the vision, her name is Terry Mace.
What year are you speaking about?
This was in the early 90s. I started teaching NFP in 1982. So I, at that point, had been teaching it for 10 years. I started using it in the late 70s. Very quickly, again, saw the need to get this information for other people, so I started teaching it when I had the opportunity to be trained in that. And then the next step was we needed a more unified effort promoting this and educating about it. The teacher is out there doing one-on-one, working with individual couples, but there needed to be some foundational work so that those couples would even know to come and find out about this. So Terry Mace was the family life director in the San Jose Diocese in California, called a bunch of the NFP teachers together to talk about what we were doing, said, how about if we all start working together to do this? And so we held our first conference in 1993 for the 25th anniversary of Humanae Vitae, and our most recent for the 50th. So this is our 25th anniversary of doing this.
Wonderful.
So you were a presenter of natural family planning, right? And so you collectively got together with other people in the diocese and you pulled off a conference. How many, did you have to be Catholic to go? Was it open to the general public?
One of the things about our organization, I think a word that would really describe it is inclusiveness. We actually did not form specifically as a Catholic organization because, as has been said before, there's no such thing as Catholic ovaries. This information is universal for women and for couples. And so we do, most of us are Catholic. That's where the support and lies for this. So we tend to fall on our Catholic roots, maybe even a little too much. But we welcome all people. And it actually wasn't then formed within the church. It actually was formed as a lay movement. But we've always worked very closely with the church, with the California Conference of Catholic Bishops, with the USCCB, and with every diocese in California. I believe we have 12 that we work very closely with. But we also have non-Catholic members and supporters and users. And I think when this information is presented on its merit, it attracts people from all perspectives.
So just in a simple way, share with us what that message is. You know, on its face, natural family planning, this way of possibly conceiving children or possibly postponing. What is that message?
I think for me initially, I think it's different things to different people, what attracts them to it. But for me initially, what attracted me was that I knew you were only fertile for a very short time in the cycle. I was about to get married. I found it odd and maybe a little offensive that I was supposed to go to the doctor and get a pill because now I was getting married, and I thought, unless marriage is an illness, I don't think I need a medication for it. I just need to figure out when I'm fertile, and that started my search of just trying to understand my body more. And much to my surprise, that was rather difficult to do. You go to the normal places to do that, physicians and healthcare, and they really only had one remedy for me, and that was not to understand my body and work with it, but to simply get rid of my fertility so that it would not be an inconvenience to whatever plans my husband and I would have. So NFP is simply, and NFP is a broad term for many different tools and methods that is simply about identifying when the couple is fertile and infertile so they can integrate that information into calling forth children into their family, or if they've discerned that it's not a good time to do that right now, postpone that without offending or changing their behavior or the relationships. You don't have to bring in drugs or devices into your bedroom. You simply know if tonight is likely to produce a baby or not to produce a baby, and you conform your behavior to what your body rhythms are, although rhythm is a word we don't like to use because it's associated with old NFP, but our body has these rhythms of fertility and infertility, and it gives us signs. Every day, a woman can tell, today is fertile, today is infertile.
Right. And how ignorant is the medical community about the natural, beautiful cycles of a woman? They get hardly zero training. What they do get trained to do is to write a prescription, right? Or or devices, right? To say this is how this is going to go down. But if people, I mean, we got married in the 70s, and the beautiful thing, I was very earthy, and we were breastfeeding and having natural childbirth and doing Lamaze, and we did charting and all that stuff because we were pure. And in that way, you really come to understand yourself and how many women and the medical community are so ignorant of that whole process.
Are they ignorant of the process, or they just don't want to know, or is it a combination, or what?
I think there's a lot of things at play. One, they're not trained in it. I was on a plane. You get asked, where are you going? What do you do? And it's always a moment that you get to share. Not always one you want to share on a plane, because inevitably the word cervical mucus might come up, and heads are turning. But I was sitting next to, as I found out, a physician. So he was asking me. I ended up saying where I was going. When I was all done talking about it, he shared that he and his wife had their 4 children, and then she had great difficulties. They were sterilized. And he said, we're taught what you say, what you do, that doesn't work. I said, I know you are. He said, can I have your card so I can look into this more for other people that may not have made this decision yet? And so I think there's a combination. They're just not educated on it, and they're given false information, really. And there's also, in their experience, there's a lack of confidence and trust often in their patients, in compliance. And this is the woman and the couple taking back the responsibility for this, not giving it over to a healthcare professional and just doing whatever they say is best. But it's not menstrual cycles are not a medical problem. And so it's the woman and the couple managing that. And then the doctor has to have confidence in the person. And I think they struggle with that as well, for good reason. I mean, do we always take all the medicine directly, as they say? So they develop this kind of skepticism over our ability to do it.
But how often are contraceptive means failing and not used properly? I mean, we work in a crisis pregnancy center, and half of the people are coming in saying, I'm using contraception and I think I've done it rightly, and so there's a failure rate with that.
Well, the physician I was talking about on the plane, the reason that their 4th child was failed contraception. And so then they went to the sterilization. And so that's, I think, why he understood. And the president of our organization is a physician, and she educates and trains other physicians. And what she tells us is they often will come back to her and say, I want to learn this for my wife and I.
Right.
So it's a bigger step for them, I think, to be able to present it to their patients. But they often want it because they know what you're saying. They know contraception has harmful effects on them. They don't, the women doctors don't want that. I'd be interested in stats on how many women doctors are actually taking those hormones.
And the beautiful component that they leave out of this journey is the spiritual component of saying spiritually, Jesus, is this the month that you would have us to conceive a child? So when they are fertile, that's the moment they're saying yes to life, to one another, but hearing what God, having their ear hopefully up to God's heart, is saying, are we to conceive another child? And asking God, right? Because we all think we're in charge and we take contraceptions and we do this, and then all of a sudden we get pregnant. And when our birth control fails because we're being responsible, well, the next step is then to say, well, I'm going to have an abortion, or I'll become sterile because aren't I in charge, right?
Sheila, time is going by. Tell us about some of the components that are part of the California Natural Family Planning. Obviously, you're doing natural family planning. What other components are there? Who are you influencing? What other aspects?
Well, I think what's really unique about our organization is that that inclusiveness. Other natural family planning advocacy groups are usually promoting a specific method of NFP, so they're training teachers and they're doing those nuts and bolts. What we saw was a need, but everybody's kind of doing their own thing. So what we did in California is we pulled everybody together. So we have all the different methods represented, and we're interested in promoting whatever tool, natural family planning tool people want. We're not promoting a certain way of doing that. The tool is less important than what you're describing, the embracing that lifestyle, because it is more than a tool, it is a lifestyle. And then we bring in all the people. So we have the clergy, we have physicians, we have the couples that are using the method, the teachers, the bishops and the parish and diocesan staff. So we bring together the whole community to interact, to work together on promoting it, support each other, we educate all those different groups, and that's where we see the need. If you activate and get all these people inspired and working together, then people can stop saying it's the best kept secret. Nobody ever told me this.
We're going to pause at this point. We're going to carry you over into the next segment. It's canfp.org or celebratehv50.com for more information. We'll be right back. Plenty more to come. Please don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, we're visiting today with Sheila St. John. Before we continue our discussion, we're going to check in with Catherine Hadro. Now, Catherine, what's on deck this week? We hear there's a football player that you were excited to meet.
Hi, Jim and Joy. Yes, this was a really fun week. We got to sit down with Super Bowl champion Matt Burke. The former NFL player is a Catholic husband and father of 8 who boldly speaks about his pro-life views. We got to sit down and talk about some of my favorite things, the pro-life movement, Catholicism, and football. I hope you guys enjoy the interview with Matt Burke as well. But with about 2 weeks left until the midterm elections, we are keeping our eye on politics as usual. We are joined by another Catholic pro-life leader, Representative Jeff Fortenberry of Nebraska, to get his take on top pro-life headlines and issues, and to hear what he's doing to advance the cause. Which brings me to our call to action reminder. We want viewers to know that there is always something you can do from home to be involved in the pro-life movement. It's important our politicians are doing pro-life work, but it's important that you are too. You can find out what this week's call to action is by simply going to prolifeweekly.com. Again, that's prolifeweekly.com. We'll have all of that information plus an update on the Little Sisters of the Poor on EWTN Pro-Life Weekly at 10 p.m. this Thursday, and again on Sunday at 10 a.m. I hope to see you all there. But for now, back to you, Jim and Joy.
Catherine, thank you so much. What a wonderful, wonderful show. Catherine's just doing a great job. And in the midst of this culture of death and a throwaway culture, to have Catherine keeping us well informed and calling us to action, to do something regarding life, marriage, and the family is absolutely critical. Sheila, conversation's wonderful. Your work, I just feel like we're really getting into this, and we'll have you back on Friday. But you listed a number of other avenues that you're getting the message out. You mentioned clergy, and that's kind of piqued my interest. What are clergy coming into classes on natural family planning about? How are you doing? Do you touch base with seminarians? Do you tell us more about those aspects?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Okay.
Our first big effort with clergy was we were contacted by a diocese, by the bishop, and he said, we're doing our convocation on marriage. Can you come and do a little snippet on NFP? And I said, oh, it's all on marriage. Oh, well, and that's what NFP is. We can do the whole thing. And he gave us 5 days with his clergy. We had 100 clergy. We brought in 25 speakers, Christopher West and others. And this was, oh gosh, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago. And clergy got up at the end of that and said, I always remember one who said, you know me, to his fellow clergy. He said, I'm always been the marriage prep guy. Marriage is my thing. Now I look back, he said, and I see I wasn't doing it justice. He said, now with this information, I am truly going to be preparing my couples for marriage. So we do formation programs for clergy. We go into seminaries. Often we've done the seminarians, a diocese will bring us in for a 3 to 5 day with the seminarians. And what I've seen over the years that we've done this is that at first, we were having to convince them that the church teaching is good and right and livable and a positive experience for couples, and even the correct thing. And it took me a bit to adjust over this time period that now we don't have to convince them of that anymore, but we do have to equip them because they still don't have the solid information. Recently polled some and they said they thought NFP was about 50% effective. So I said, I've got really good news for you. What you're being asked to promote is 97%, 97 to 99. And you know what, then his concern was, well, that's too effective. I'm not sure I want to promote that. So then we educate them on it's not contraception. The effectiveness does not make it the same as birth control. It is entirely a different beast and entirely a different lifestyle. And what you described about discerning God's will in our life during that fertile time and on a daily basis, and the communication, and the really subjecting ourselves to God's will in our life. So we educate clergy and seminarians, but also others. We put out quarterly newsletters. We refer to professionals of NFP around the state. We bring those professionals together in conferences to give them continuing education and build relationships. And we answer the phone. So whoever calls, I will talk to them however long they need to explain in whatever their situation is. So they have an ability to reach out and get that information.
Are you servicing your diocesan area or the whole state? Or what if our people would like to speak with you, even though they're not in California? Can they do that? Can you advise them, direct them?
We do. Well, yes, we do talk. We'll talk with anybody. We've talked with other people from. Well, we had our conference we just had. We can talk about. We had 36 states attending, and so we do get inquiries from all over. What can we do in our diocese better on this? We want to do this. How can we do that? What's the experience? But our mission is California, but there's a need throughout the country, and so we'll meet that the best we can.
I love what you said as you shared with the seminarians. I think you said. I might not get the words exactly right, but they're seeing now that this is good, this is livable, this is right, this is lovely, but they still need to be equipped. But I think that the beauty of Humanae Vitae, the beauty of natural family planning, the beauty of marital love and the transmission of human life, they seem to be catching that. Then they need the tools to finish the job.
And the courage and conviction. And when they hear couples talk about the transformation in their lives, it gives them the courage and the desire to share that with the with the other couples. And clergy need to hear that positive news so they're convicted and courageous enough to invite others.
Beautiful.
Sheila, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for decades of work, and we're so glad we're going to have you back on Friday and continue this important and beautiful conversation. So you can always reach Sheila for more information. And we're going to speak as well about the conference that you held to celebrate HV50.com. All together, we're going to build a new culture of life. And so much of that culture of life, marriage, and family takes place in the union of a man and a woman, and the children born as a result of that holy union. Life will prevail. Marriage will prevail. The gospel will prevail. You're an important part of this family. You're always at home with Jim and Joy. Keep it on EWTN. Bye now.